Important Commander news update coming right at you. Thank you for joining us here on the MTG Rundown today. We have a couple of little things we want to touch on. What do we got?
Starting us off the top.
So what do we got first?
Yeah.
I have a lot of opinions about this, so I'm going to let you lead off.
Yep, off the top rope, the continuing trend of Japan getting really awesome exclusive merch, this time in the form of Cowboy Bebop, promos, sleeves, and playmats.
A anime that did not do well in Japan, but did amazing everywhere else, gets a Japan exclusive. Like, I'm totally fine with them getting anime exclusive stuff, obviously. But, like, Bebop was for us. Steve Blum is... I don't think I've ever heard any of the characters from Bebop speak Japanese. Ever. Steve Blum is Spike's people. And it's just...
Yeah.
But it is a really cool thing. The teaser that they showed where they redid the Bebop intro was super cool. I'm glad that this product exists, but it's just baffling to me that they would choose specifically Bebop for the crime. See, because, like, I get it, space pirates, bounty hunters, and all that, but there's so many others that were more popular in Japan that would make more sense. But whatever.
No, it's
something One Piece.
It's just a rub it in the face of us Westerners who really want this, but we can't get it.
Right. I mean, and the card selection is fine. I believe, what were the cards? Ossification, Lightning Strike, Go for the Throat, Snakeskin Vial, Disdainful Stroke. So, like, fine cards, you know, but it's more so obviously for the art and the collectability of the cards. So, like, I'm glad that these exist, but it was just a weird choice to make it this product and also to make it Japan exclusive. I can't wait to buy more cards I can't read.
I'm going to be scouring, like, Japanese eBay and, like, Haruya and just hoping to get some of this.
Absolutely, because they look super good.
Yeah. Moving on, last week, the current president of Wizards of the Coast, Cynthia Williams, has announced that she is stepping down from her role as lead of Wizards.
And we don't have anything else about it. No statement was made if anything had triggered this leave or if there was any sort of internal conflict in the company. They just announced they're stepping down, calling it a day. So we don't know if this is being forced out by other board members or if she just is tired of working there, doesn't want to do it anymore, whatever. So hopefully we'll get some more information on that. But this is an important thing because this is a change at the top of the company, so this could affect how things unfold going forward.
Yeah, likely won't be seeing any effect of this for 2 to 3 years because that's usually the development cycle that they're working on.
Right, but this will, like, going forward... change things in the future, potentially. We could get somebody else who has the same, like-minded person. Maybe she just wants to step down, retire, do something else. Maybe she just doesn't want to run it anymore. So, like, we could get somebody who's like-minded and just wants to keep things running smoothly as they are. We could have somebody who wants to completely shift how products are released or release cycles or design philosophy, whatever, what have you. Stop putting Commander products in everything. Please. Let formats be different.
Then moving on now to...
Speaking of formats being different.
The big quarterly Commander new, rules update came out last week.
Surprise, it's nothing.
Yep.
In a very important, very pressing statement, the Commander's Rule Committee posted an update saying... literally, like, changing the mission statement to say that Commander is a casual format and be cool with people, which... thank you. We will keep doing the same thing we've been doing for 20 years. Yep. It's one of my favorites, like whenever Wizards posts on all social media platforms, July 20th, there will be a ban and restricted rules update. And then they post it and it's like standard, unchanged, modern, unchanged, legacy, unchanged. It's like, thank you for letting me know about this. I was on the edge of my seat because Ponder was unrestricted in Vintage. All of us local Vintage players were on the edge of our seats for that. Thank you. This just, I don't understand why they would make an official statement that just doesn't do anything. But I mean, it's their whole shebang, so whatever.
I mean, what, the last card that was banned was Hull Breacher. Before that, Prophet of Krufix back in Theros?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I think, honestly, like, just a bit of a side tangent here. I think that if they are going to mess with the ban restricted list of Commander, I think it needs a complete overhaul. Take everything off the list and start from square zero and then grab the problem cards. Like, obviously, Hull Breacher is just an insane card. And just, like, the cards like that, because there's some cards that are on the ban list which are like, why? But, you know, it's a ban list that's as old as the format, so neither here nor there. Like Gristlebrand. Like, you can't have Gristlebrand, but you can have this 2-card infinite combo with this other thing that you can do on turn 2. But Gristlebrand is too far. And it's just like one of those, the power level feels very skewed to it. Because, like, I think the only cards that should really be banned in a casual format, because obviously you have Rule 0, and every group usually plays with their own ban list. Like, some people don't care if you play Black Braid, some people don't care if you play Coalition Victory, whatever. But I feel like for an official, like, store enforced, like, you go to your locals, there's 20 people playing, everybody's playing, like, with the same guidelines kind of thing. I think the only cards that are real big problems are easy cards that say I win the game on them, like Felidar Sovereign and whatnot, which are just uninteractive, boring. Like, I play it, you have one rotation to deal with it, or I just win the game. Cards like Coalition Victory and stuff like that. Or cards that actively promote an unfun playstyle. Opposition Agent, Hull Breacher, things that actively punish your opponent for playing the game in an unfun way. Stuff like Zozu the Punisher, and like Mana Barbs and stuff like that to like deal damage or whatever. Like, those are fine because there's ways you can actually like interact with them. But if your opponent has a Hull Breacher, you can't dig. Like, you can't try to draw for your answer to Hull Breacher because it just turns into treasures. Or if they have Opposition Agent, you can't do your fetch lands. You can't, again, if you can't like look for solutions to those. So, like, I think that really the only cards that are problems are ones that actively promote an unfun, unhealthy play space for the table, like stuff like Balance and whatnot, which are just like, this is obviously not fun, nobody likes this, like the Armageddons, Ravages of War stuff. So it's like, I'm just gonna play this and then nobody's gonna have fun. Those are the only cards I really, because like high power cards are fine. People should be able to play stuff like Gristlebrand, Big Dumb Timmy thing, because if your argument's like you can reanimate Gristlebrand, you can also reanimate Atali, like, and Ulamog. Like, there's other big dumb cards that also say, do this really ridiculous giant, I'm a mythic rare creature printed in the last 15 years abilities. So, like, let people just have their big dumb idiots. There's so many of them out there that it's weird to just cherry pick some of them. But that's just what I would like to see in an actual Commander update where they actually say something and not just, hey, we're going to keep doing the same thing we've been doing.
So I would say that Commander's gotten to the point where they almost need to just split the format in half, where they say, hey, here's going to be the ban list for people that just want to go to your local shop, play in the Commander night, have some fun.
Right.
We're going to put all the big, dumb, ridiculous, like, your Thassa's Oracle on there. We're going to slap, like, all, like, Mana Crypt onto there. Any
non-Soul Ring mana positive rock.
And so this is going to be the casual ban list, and then we're going to make a separate format now where it's like, here's going to be the competitive list.
I would totally be fine with a Timmy list and a Spike list. Like, here's your battle cruiser. You get to play Gristlebrand here because you can't play Mana Crypt. You can't play all these things that are going to turbo charge them out. But so you get to have your big dumb idiot because we just don't care because you're actually playing them on like turn 6 or 7 or whatever, you know.
You can have the 15-man Emrakul back because you don't have the ability to turn 3 ramp into it and immediately start going face.
Exactly. So like, but then again on the high power side, that's where you can start getting into a bit of the more finessed, like what cards are actually unfair or unbalanced in a high level. Because if everybody sits down at the table with a 10, then it's fine. Because everybody has the same cards. There's going to be 2 or 3 blue decks there, so there's going to be Force of Wills, Force of Negations, Pact of Negations. White is going to have stuff like Solitude and other free interaction spells. everybody's brought similar ideas to the table. So like that the Kenrith player can be playing the Lion's Eye Diamond Hull Underworld Breach combo, like so you're aware of that. So it gets to have a different list where it's like, okay, what cards are just like Thassa's Oracle, where it's ubiquitously good. Every single deck that taps for blue mana just builds their entire deck around I am an ad nause Thoracle combo deck, because then it's not that it's unfun or uninteractive or anything like that. It's format warping, my bad. Yep. Where it's every single deck that has access to this card builds around having access to that card. And I feel like that's the design space they should go for high power commander. That way you sit down at the table and you're like, oh, you're playing Tymna and Thrasios. Okay, cool, you're 4-color Thoracle. Or, oh, you're playing Malcolm and Vile Smasher. Cool, you're Grixis Thoracle. Like, they're all the same deck, with wanting to do the same thing, get rid of your whole deck. And then, because they're all running Demonic Consultation, they're all running Tainted Pact, they're all running Ad Naz, just to get rid of their whole deck, find Thoracle, play Thoracle, win the game. And that's just not... If I can have 7 decks with different color combinations and different commanders, and they all win the game the exact same way, that's the problem.
Yep.
Because there's some cards that you can have in there that that are good, like Dockside Extortionist, because Dockside Extortionist itself does not give you a game. It's a play extender that facilitates you going into the thing that you actually need to do to end the game. But it in and of itself doesn't win you the game. Yep. So it's fine. But Thoracle and effects like Thoracle are just too easy to pull off. They're not very restrictive in how you build it. You just have to run, like I said, Demonic Consultation, Tainted Pact, like Necropotence or whatever, or just like whatever card just gets rid of all of the cards in your deck, and then you just call it a day. So I would totally be on board if they were to announce 2 separate lists for people who wanted to play. And at the same time, this is only for store play. Like, obviously, whenever you're playing kitchen table Magic, or if you're playing on webcam or whatever, you and your buddies are all going to have your own lists. Like, some people might think Felidar Sovereign's not fun, so they ban it. Like, they just don't like it. Or some people might ban Armageddon Ravages of War just because it's not a fun card or whatever. So, like, every group that plays just amongst themselves obviously is just going to do their same thing. But this is for in-store. I'd love to see that.
Yep, yeah. Like, 'cause also, a day or two after the Commander Rules update came out, I believe it was Creator Clash also put out their own personal ban list update where it's a bunch of the MTG Goldfish guys who make Commander content.
Right.
And they're like, all right, we're going to ban Field of the Dead and Glacial Chasm, not because they're too overpowered or anything, but they keep homogenizing our deck build, so we're just going to outright ban them because we keep having games where Field of the Dead just runs away with the game, and we don't want to have to balance everything. I was like, and that's... I kind of think was the original intention of a Commander was, okay, your local group, this card's starting to run away, you're going to pick and choose to cut that one out.
Exactly.
And they never really planned for it to explode to this point where...
Into the thing Magic is known for now. Because I remember back when I first started playing, Magic was Modern and Legacy. It was the in-person events. It was Tarmogoyf into Lily and yada, yada, yada. And now it's just... Every set has 5,000 legendary creatures in it. Everything has to be commander playable, and then sometimes that leaks into other formats. I would also be fine if they went into a Canlander format type of thing, where there's no ban list. Like you have the vintage ban list, silver border cards by the racist artists. Cards that say anti on them.
And all the manual dexterity cards.
Yeah, and then all the manual dexterity cards. So it has the same ban list, and then everything just has points. And that way you go through your game and you're just like, okay, so I'm playing Naya tokens. My points are, 8 of my points are in this one Mox that I run in my deck. And then I get 2 other points, and it's a Soul Ring or something. Yep. And it's so I have a completely normal deck, and I have 2 strong cards in my deck or something. I feel like something like that would also be fine, because it gives people who want to play Emrakul or Gristlebrand or any of the other cool stuff, Golos, like any of that stuff, you can be like, well, I've paid my points, so like you know that some of the power in my deck is allocated to this, and you could still have Thoracle in the format at that point. Just make it like half of your points allocation, so like you know that, like have it be half of your points allocation, and then have Adnaz be the other half. So if you're gonna run those two, you can't run Demonic Consultation and Tainted Pact because those will also be point cards. So all of your points are in Thoracle Adnaz, so you know that they don't have any of the demonic tutors, silly stuff, fast mana to facilitate it. So if you have it, it's harder to pull off. See, I feel like a balanced system like that would also be fine.
I think Canlander keeps Thoracle in check by all the tutors being so highly pointed that you can't consistently with it. It's like, oh yeah, if you want to do the console win, that's all you get.
That's all you get, and your opponent's going to have like triple Mox Soul Ring. And you're saying, oh, he just had like 8 dudes in play on turn 5 because he's playing Naya Stompy, and he just had a turn 1 land Mox, play 2 Mana Dorks, go.
And
then what do we got for our last?
So we got 2 lovely little tidbits left.
Okay.
My favorite part of every time a new Magic set comes out, the comprehensive rules updates.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, first item. If a sentence you have questions, you can get the answers from us at supportwizards.com has been erased.
Yeah, we're just going to take that line away. We're not going to run support anymore.
Right. This is up to the LGSs now. This is your in-house judges have to be the guys that know what's up. Because Wizards was like, no, I'm tired of it. I wash my hands of this. This is your problem now. Which is a funny way of dealing with it.
Yeah, just to quickly skip through these. Most of these are just things like they added in the new creature types. There's now another line for spree and modal spells.
Right. Defining what in-game text committing a crime is. Like little stuff like what this thing means. Like what does saddling a creature mean per rules text, yada, yada, yada. Little stuff.
Yep. Although, as one person did point out in the comments that the most notable thing, for them at least, was the definition of spree, or rather the fact that the plus as a bullet point for modes, it means that you can get spells that are things like 1 in a white instant, choose one, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn, and the second point can be plus mana cost, do a secondary effect.
Yeah.
So they can now have, hey, here's the primary spell, and here's an additional mode if you choose to pay for it.
It all devolves down to every mechanic is kicker. Mm-hmm. So now going for you have your kicker stuff, you can do that.
we can now shorten kicker even more.
Absolutely. Yay, our 7th iteration of kicker. Let's go.
And finally, these are unconfirmed, but if they are true, they are quite spicy. We have a handful of 1-mana flipwalkers potentially coming out in Modern Horizons 3.
Absolutely. If these are real, the choices here were very interesting for some of these. Because personally, I'm a big Garrick stan. So I was hoping, finally see like a flip Garrick in a set. Because I want creature Garrick really bad. But so for the green, they've gone with Grist, the Voracious Larva. For 1 mana, you get a 1/2 legendary insect. These are all at Mythic, obviously. So it's just Death Touch. And when Grist enters or another creature enters under your control, if it entered from your graveyard, or if you cast it from your graveyard, you may pay 1 green. If you do, exile it, then return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. And then for the back half, it is green-black, 3 loyalty, +1, make a 1/1 green-black insect creature token, and then mill 2 cards and put a Death Touch counter on one of your black cards milled this way. Wait.
On the token, if a black card was milled this way.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I missed a word there. Yep. So yeah, and then -2, destroy target artifact or enchantment, just value, and then -6 for the ultimate. For each creature card in your graveyard, create a token that is a copy of it, except it is a 1/1 black-green insect. That is a wildly powerful ability.
Yes, yeah, I'm definitely hoping these are real, because these have potential.
Like Jund Reanimator, make a 1/1 Gristlebrand.
For the blue one, we have Tamio Inquisitive Student. Flying, whenever Tamio Inquisitive Student attacks, investigates. When you draw your 3rd card in a turn, exile Tamio, then return to the battlefield transformed. Her +2 is until your next turn, or whenever a creature attacks you or Planeswalker control, it gets -1/-0 until end of turn. -3, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. If it's a green card, add 1 mana of any color.
Okay.
And -7, draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library, rounded up. You get an emblem with you have no maximum hand size.
I think this one in particular is going to be really good because, spoiler alert, this card works really well with Brainstorm. So I think this one definitely has potential. Like, you just play it turn 1, turn 2, you swing to make a clue, Brainstorm on your opponent's turn, flip it, comes back over to you. Now you have a Planeswalker, you have a bunch of cards in your hand, you have a clue token that you can crack later to draw extra cards. I think this card's pretty solid. Yeah. And it's recursion on the -3, so like later you can get various whatever you need toolbox cards from your graveyard back. I think this card's sauce. I like it.
I'm also realizing now, just looking at these, that like their face half is monocolor, their back half is 2-colored,
right?
With one of their abilities referencing their secondary color. So for Tamiyo, her face half is blue, and then she cares about green cards on her Planeswalker side.
Yeah.
So that's a cute little thing.
I like that. Yeah, like grist mills yourself.
And then if it's a black card, you get additional benefit.
Exactly.
That's cute. I like that.
So for the red, we have Rawl the Monsoon Mage for 1 and a red, so he's 2. He is a 1/3 human wizard. Instant and sorcery spells cost 1 less to cast that you cast. And then whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell during your turn, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, he deals 1 damage to you, but if you win the flip, you transform him. You exile him and bring him back. And then he has a really long passive here. What do we got here? We have Rawl Leyline Prodigy is red-blue, 2 loyalty, and when he enters the battlefield, he gets an additional loyalty counter on him for each instant and sorcery that you've cast this turn. So he has Storm loyalty, which is cool. +1 until your next turn. Your instants and sorceries cost 1 less, so he keeps the passive from the front half on his plus, which is cool. -2 deals 2 damage, divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Draw a card if you control a blue permanent other than Rawl. So his -2 is literally Electrolyze if you have something else that's blue in play.
Yeah.
And then -8, exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may cast instant and sorcery cards from among them this turn for free. Which is pretty sweet gig. I think he's fine.
Yep.
I think the decks that want to play him kind of just want that brawl. They just want that first half.
I'm just waiting for the inevitability where somebody accidentally dies to their Rawl because they flip like 13 tails in a row.
Oh yeah, like it's the guy that actually unironically dies to Mana Crypt. It's just like one of those. It's like, well, I guess my Rawl did 12 damage to me in that game. Cool. You swung at me twice with a
Delver.
Yeah, with a Delver, and then I just died because I tried to. By killing your Delvers and by drawing cards, I have killed myself. It'll happen. Yep. Like, there will be a game where there's like a 1 or 2 point life difference, and him shooting you for that too was what mattered. Yep.
And then finally, for our last one, we have a Sorin of House Markov. 1 in a black for a 1/4 lifelinker with Extort as well. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, exile Sorin House Markov, then return him to the battlefield transformed.
Okay.
And then he flips over, and he intrinsically has Extort again.
Extort as a passive on a Planeswalker is cool.
Yep. +2 creative food. -1, Sorin Ravenous Neonate deals damage equal to the amount of life you have gained this turn to any target.
Okay.
And -6, oh geez.
Wall of text.
Gain control of target creature. It becomes a vampire addition to its other types. Put a lifelink counter on it if you control a white permanent other than Sorin.
So the only thing I don't like about this one is the +2. Like, make a food seems so lackluster compared to the other ones. Because, like, Rawl, while the +1 is kind of boring, it also goes into your opponent's turn. Because it says until the start of your next turn you can do it. So, like, your counter spells and interaction will cost less and stuff like that. But, like, just make a food. Like, it's not bad, and I'm not trying to say it is bad, but it's just like Sorin having the same plus ability as Oko is weird, first of all. And just make a food is just weird for Sorin, like mechanically, thematically. If you asked me what does Sorin do on plus, never does any of those equate to make a food token?
Yeah. I'm like, most of the swords I can think of are either various vampire hijinks, like to put a vampire into play or like put counters on a vampire.
Right. I like the there's one that has like the Kiss of Night or whatever it is, the deal 2 damage to something, gain 2 life.
Yep.
Like, that's what I think of. It's like, make a dude or deal damage to something, gain that much life, something. Like, those kind of effects. Those are Soren effects. The rest of it seems very Soren-y.
Or even just like, I think the first 2 Sorens that were printed had like, one was a plus ability, the other was a minus ability. There was like, make a vampire with lifelink, which like, +1, make a 1/1 vampire with lifelink. He still gets his -1.
Let's say he doesn't even have to have life. I mean, obviously this card would want lifelink because his whole thing is extort, gain life, and stuff like that. But like, I think change it from +2 to +1, like you said, and just make it a vampire and fine. Like, make a 1/1 dude.
Yep.
So you paid like 2 mana and other resources to gain 4 life to flip this guy to make 1 dude. And also,
yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so like,
the turn you flip him, you can potentially shoot something for 3, but
right. And who's paying 2 mana, then more mana to gain life, to flip a guy, to kill the guy you just put all of your resources into, to kill like a Dragon's Rage Channeler.
Yeah.
Like, that just seems like an awful rate.
Yeah.
So I just feel like the food is weird because I just don't feel like it does enough. And also, again, it's just thematically weird that Soren is the guy that makes food. I don't know. Yeah. That part just rubs me there. The rest of the card's fine. Yeah. Shoot dudes for how much life you gain control of a dude, make him a vampire, all very on flavor. Also, the ultimate seems a bit weak because you have to control another white permanent to get the lifelink counter.
Yeah.
Which is weird. It's an ultimate ability. It takes like 3 turns to get him there. Because he comes in with 3, then you got a +2 to get him 5, +2 to get him to 7, -3. So it's, or -6, I mean. Yeah. So it's like, it's a lot of work to do to potentially not even get the lifelink counter. So I feel that they either should have just made that universal or just not put that on there.
Yeah, because like, especially looking, it's like, okay, exile the top 8, cast any number of sorceries, draw half your deck.
Right.
Reanimate your entire graveyard.
Right, make 1/1 versions of everything in your graveyard. Because the cool part about Grist is that it just makes copies of them. Yep. So you can make copies of your dudes and then swing them in, and then if they die, you can then still reanimate the actual dudes in your graveyard, which is super cool. But yeah, so like, I don't know, I just feel like Soren feels a bit on the meh side. But every batch of cards, you're going to have stinkers. You're going to have winners and losers. I think, personally, I feel like Tamiyo's probably the best at surface value just because of how easy she is to flip. She's only 1 mana. She blocks well because she's a 0/3 flyer. So she blocks pre-flip Delver, pre-Delirium, Dragon's Rage Channeler, and then on your opponent's turn, you just, for the low cost of casting the most played spell in Eternal formats, Brainstorm, you flip her and then just start going to Value Town. And then she can swing, like I said, to make you the clue token, which for some decks might want that because maybe you're playing like Tolarian Academy, Urza, high power, whatever stuff, so the clue token just turns into a mana rock or whatever. Some decks might not even care about flipping her and just like swing with her every turn. Like, she blocks on your opponent's turn, on your turn she swings, whatever you need her to do, and just makes you clue tokens. So like, I feel like she's really good. So far from what we've seen, we haven't seen a white one yet, which, you know, presumably we'll get something like Elspeth maybe or something, whatever. But if you would have told me that Grist was the green one, would not have believed. And my favorite part is that the first half looks nothing like Grist because it's literally a giant maggot-looking thing. And then on the flipped half, it turns into the hive mind bug thing that we know Grist as. Pile of bugs in a trench coat. But anyway, that's all we have for you today, or do we have more?
Oh, no, that is all, but I just had the sudden thought of...
What do we got?
Doesn't the original Grist has the line of text that if he's not in play, he's a creature in addition?
In all zones other than play is 1/1 green-black creature.
So you could also have Grist reanimate Grist.
You can make a 1/1 planeswalker.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's great. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Because Grist is the weird one because Grist can get like essence scattered because on the stack Grist is a creature.
Yep.
So anything that says counter target creature spell gets it. You can also like natural order for a Grist.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I didn't even think about that. So you can have Grist making bugs that are Grist. Mm-hmm. That's super cool. I like that. I like it when cards do funny stuff like that.
But now that does conclude us.
Absolutely. Thank you, as always, for joining us. And have a good day.
Yep, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.